Hello, hello. Welcome to the live stream. I know it's been a long time since I went live. I've been focusing on clients around San Antonio, military families moving, and honestly, like I'm not a YouTuber, but I am a citizen of San Antonio and a Texan, and I just like to track what's going on with the housing market and of course to tell the people of San Antonio what's going on. And I really not salesy. Like I really try to give you the meat and the truth about what's going on. So here is, I mean, just in the past 2 years, there's been a major shift in the housing market. I have some great information for you guys. This is a live stream, so work out some of the kinks. And also, it's just been not only a pivot in the buyer's market and the seller's market, but a lot of people have been affected by a lot of the changes that's been happening with the higher interest rates. And now Trump is really gunning for these massive home buying entities that take up, I think it's like 16% of the homes in the US, and just how that's going to be affected with a lot of the changes that we have. And also, what's going to happen? Like, what are the future prediction of 2026? Of course, I don't have a crystal ball. Sometimes I feel like I do, just because I nerd out on this information. I talk to clients every day. I talk to colleagues in the real estate industry, and I always want to know what's going on to just tell people the truth. Is it a good area to move? Is it a bad area to move? So with that, see, I've got let's see, a minute and 40 something seconds. So if you are tuning in, if you're jumping in, shoot me a comment of where you are tuning in from, because I want to know, are you local here in San Antonio? Are you out of state? And I do look at the comments, and I will answer the comments as they come in with any questions. So, hey, what's up, Josh? Thanks for popping in, watching from Bernie. Awesome. I love when people come to Texas and they say burn, and then I just want to like crawl up and cry. So thank you for that. So let's kind of jump into it, and just talk about how there's news circulating around how San Antonio is a great market. I know 2 or 3 years ago, there was information saying that the I-10 corridor was one of the hottest markets in the US. And then it was the 35 corridor was one of the hottest markets, going towards New Braunfels, Seguin. Elon was coming to close the corridor between Austin and Laredo and Mexico. So that you can take with a grain of salt, and only because it's not all rainbows and butterflies. A lot of people have been affected by all this news that came out. It says this report that in October of this past year, there was 170% more sellers than buyers in the San Antonio area. I know I've had personally people that have called me up and said, "Hey, Trey, I bought this home last year and I got a PCS. Like, can you help me sell it?" And unfortunately, because of where they bought and the home that they bought, you can't really sell it, and only because they were next to a new development community. And so it says, continuing the article, the highest percentage across the 50 biggest markets. In second place was the Austin metro, where there was 115% more sellers than buyers than last month. Later in the live stream, I'm going to go over more of what's going on with San Antonio versus Austin. Honestly, I don't really care too much what happens with Austin because I'm a San Antonio guy. But it does affect a lot of the migration inbound and outbound of what's going on in those communities. So being the number one, I mean, to me, it really kind of says that it's speculative, right? If you're looking for a deal, and if you're looking for, sellers to pay all closing costs, if you're looking to really kind of buy low, sell high, I mean, I don't want to sound like a realtor here, but I do feel like, we've been in this market for about 2.5 years, where it's straight 6, 7, even 8% interest rate. We are at the bottom, to where now interest rates are creeping around low 6 and even high 5s. I had a military family that we just helped that got even a par rate. Par rate means they bought a pre-owned home, and they were able to get about a 5.7 without buying down the rate at all. Well, that in part with mortgage companies just really hurting for the business. They really want to get the very best deal. And that was just recent. So I do feel like people are getting good deals when, they just really go after it, and obviously find the right markets, find the right areas. Cause like if I bring up this, of course, I have a map of San Antonio, this little heat map. I mean, there's so many areas that are oversupplied and just like, I literally tell people, do not buy in those areas. Like, don't buy. And they're like, well, what do you mean? You're a realtor. Your job's to sell. Yes, I want to sell something at some point, but I also want to be your client for life, just work with you. And you can't necessarily have somebody buy in the wrong areas and at least know why. I mean, I know people buy in Lackland, they buy, or I'm sorry, they commute to Lackland and they, usually buy in the far northwest or the far west and, just deal with the commutes and stuff. But we want to make sure that they're educated in buying. So I gotta say what's up to more people. I appreciate it. I haven't jumped on a live in a while. So we got Alex, I think that's how you say it, from Chicago and South Kid. What's up? And yes, looking to move to San Antonio, hit us up. I love meeting new people. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not trying to be a Mr. Beast of real estate. But I just want to help more families and help them the right way. And if you don't want to work with you, that's cool too. As long as you get great information, I'm here for it. Okay, so the second thing I want to bring up is there's also been some more information of how the real estate market is cooling. And it's really looking to, hold on, let me get that. Sorry, technically, there's the boom. There you go. So this is basically an interview, and I'm not going to waste time on the video. Oh God, an ad. Okay, I got hit with an ad. Oh no. Okay. This is not sponsored by Spectrum. Let me get rid of that. So basically this is it's an article saying how the real estate market is cooling. They had an agent on there and it just goes to show this little chart that I actually like. Where is it? Nope, no chart. Here it is. Mortgage rates are down to sit from around 6% from 6.5. Factor is interest rates, and this is kind of things that we already know as an industry that is happening. So it's not necessarily anything new, but it just affects affordability. When people are looking to move, and there's a lot of controversy around like why we have higher rates, why we have so much inventory, and San Antonio's just been hit hard. Affordability is definitely number one. What's interesting is later on, I'm going to tell you just a little more specifics around the different price points around San Antonio and what has really been affected. But the luxury clients that we've had, and also the colleagues that I talked to, they have been saying that luxury has been essentially flying off the shelves. And it's because, when you're over 700, which is considered luxury in here in San Antonio, that really is where rates don't affect it as much. And we've actually seen an increase in people buying luxury homes in San Antonio year over year. And we're going to go into that a little later about exactly how much it's gone up. But I would say the median home price, which is around 300,000 here in San Antonio, hasn't had too much effect in the new home space. So if you're buying a new home, I mean, there's so many builders that are just throwing all these incentives and basically saying like 0% interest rate, 1% interest rate. And what they're doing is just buying down the rate. So the question I get a lot is, how much do you need to live comfortably here in San Antonio? So in the Texas Triangle, which is Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston, we always skip Austin. It says right here, the San Antonio area is ranked. Let me highlight it. You probably can't see it. There we go. San Antonio area ranked as the 10th largest, cheapest metro, and income and young adult to live comfortably is $93,000, about $14,000 lower than the national average. And if it's a household, I mean, around $100,000 as a household, you can live pretty comfortable. And I kind of argue that because, I mean, people live very comfortable in different sides of town. And San Antonio is, just unlike any other city that I've seen where, even on the, Stone Oak is historically known for being like a like a luxury type area with a lot of nicer restaurants, steakhouses, and you can get a home for 350,000, which is a little bit above the median home price, but that's essentially what we're looking at. The Houston area is close second to San Antonio. Houstonians just need a few 100,000 more than San Antonio to live comfortable, but they obviously don't have better tacos than we do, but they do have better Chinese food for sure. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the state's most expensive metros are Austin area, and Austin really got killed with these decrease in prices and higher inventory. They definitely had us beat. Side note, I just love how San Antonio, we're just a little slower moving than Austin is. They had a huge, massive spike during COVID, and the rates were 2 or 3%, and their market went crazy. And we also had a similar, it trickled down here south, but it wasn't as extensive as it did in Austin, which is cool. So let me get to some of these comments. Alex, just shoot me an email. My email is like pretty much on all my YouTube videos. Pretty concerned about the property taxes. Oh, I love that you said that. Thank you, Alex. So property taxes they're very controversial, only because recently, and actually I should put this in my next video. So the state of Texas has put out that they owe people money in their property taxes because they underdelivered the property tax amount. So there's a website, it's a state website that you go to. If you search your name or address, the state will tell you whether they owe you some money. I actually got like $60 back from the house I lived in for 9 years. And I think there was another house that is a rental we own. I think I got like $8 back. But you should search your name on that website to make sure that the state doesn't owe you money. I will put that in the comment or in the comment section there. So I know we're getting off topic with these news, but this is important. I love the question of taxes. So depending on where you are in San Antonio, so hold on, here we go, right here. Okay, so if you look at the 1604 loop, that is within the city of San Antonio limits for the most part. And when you're in the city of San Antonio limits, that's really where you're getting about a 2.4% tax rate because you're in Bexar County and you're in the city of San Antonio. I'm going to say this fast because I really want to get to where people are moving to and everything else. But if you're outside in different counties like Guadalupe, Comal, Kerr County, those are Kendall County, those are going to be not in the city of San Antonio limits. They may be in the city of Boerne and everything else, but you will have a lower tax burden. And obviously there's other exemptions that go with it. So I would just be very strategic on what areas you look at. And just I see a comment about, I was hoping this comment would come up. Why is the Alamo Ranch area so crowded, but decently priced homes there at least? Okay, so Alamo Ranch, I have been crap talking Alamo Ranch for a long time. And the only thing I'm saying about Alamo Ranch is that the traffic is bananas. And I think everybody you talk to that lives on that side of town, that's really their gripe, is the traffic. Because Culebra just wasn't, it was underdeveloped. They didn't expect the expansion. And now that, I'm sure people know this watching, is the new HEB on 211 and Culebra, Petranco, one of those, but it's definitely 211. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure it's Culebra. That has been a massive success. There was literally people camping the night before to get to the new HEB. And I was watching, the creators on TikTok, with the grand opening, lady was waiting forever. And to answer your question, Mayo is, sorry if I don't know your real name, there's just a lot of inventory. So there was a huge boom in very similar price points from about 200 to 400. And you're talking thousands of homes that were developed within 5-year time frame. And so when the resales came out and there was still development happening, that's where you saw basically the two worlds crashing together, which caused this market here in Culebra. At least that's thank you. Oh yes, thank you, South Kid. 211 Clubber, yeah, that's what I thought it was. And they really need an HEB out there, man. And that's for another live stream, just talking about like Medina Lake, Maiko. Those areas are just, man, like the water situation is bad, and you can get great deals in those areas. We helped a military family get a very beautiful home out there, and I just really warned them about just Medina County and their water restrictions and everything else. But now, luckily, they're starting to force xeriscaping, and the HOAs out there are really getting on people for making sure that a certain amount is xeriscaped to preserve the water restrictions with the Edwards Aquifer. So glad that is happening. Most videos cover buying houses. Yeah, I mean, you buy a house, don't buy a house, it don't matter to me. I just want to make sure people get the right information and that we all get connected as a community. So thank you. So I have St. Louis. Man, I'd love to move down there. Would you recommend any decently priced apartments? Work from there on the northeast side. I don't mind driving for a nice place to live. That's an awesome question. It kind of reminds me when I first moved to San Antonio, I didn't have any information. They didn't have YouTube people like myself just trying to give people the good information and the real information about what it's like living here. And I ended up at Marbach 410 with a 2-bedroom that I paid $400 a month for. So if you know Marbach 410, you know what I'm talking about. So it was definitely not a lot of information, and I was pleasantly surprised of how close the police academy was, which I was a police officer going there. Moved here on a Friday, started police academy Monday. Had no idea what was going on with the city, but I have learned since then a lot about the city, which now I absolutely love. So yes, thank you. All right, so let's continue to the second part of this that I was preparing is what metros is going to be the most affordable. Like if you're going to move to San Antonio and you're not looking for luxury, and you're just starting to either get a starter home or a move up home, you're just living here, the biggest thing is you want to make sure that you get a home that you can resell the fastest. So homes that are brand new in certain areas, you really don't want to just jump in. Knowing the research of the developments around it is really going to affect it. I mean, like, let's look at the South Side. The South Side, Toyota was a big developer, and obviously it's a massive, massive workforce. And in the beginning, there was a scarcity of homes on the South Side because there just wasn't a lot of housing to support it. So multifamily blew up down there. Housing blew up on the South Side. But then now you have Vita San Antonio, you have Perry Homes, Highland Homes. You have all these homes that are now in the South Side that are basically accommodating the housing that was in huge demand. And it's not like that anymore. So it's just it's very different. So first time home buyers, check out this text metros that are most affordable. Obviously, San Antonio is the most affordable metro, ranked 12th nationally. Being that we're in a market where I'm actually surprised that San Antonio is not higher on the list, just because like the housing, like homes are slashing prices. They're sitting on the market. They're not being rented. And we're only 12th. There's other markets that are more affordable than San Antonio. It's kind of surprising to read that. So then this next article that I want to bring up, that's the same one. This one here. So where are people going? So like in the city of San Antonio, honestly, there's been a lot of issues with, crime. And there's been a lot of issues with overabundance of homes not selling, underdevelopments. I know those of you who are here living in San Antonio, let me know in the comments where you are. And obviously after the live stream, I will still answer, the comments as I see them come up, and they're actually me answering it in between showing houses and stuff. But I want to know that, or I'm sorry, the people that are moving out are, basically like, okay, I moved to the South Side because of all this development, and actually specifically Southtown. So Southtown, there was a promise of the Lone Star District being developed. There was just all of this commercial real estate that was going to be developed, but it never did. And so people are like, you know what, screw this. Like I wanted, the amenities around me. And that's why I moved here. And then, drama in the government happened. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to move to different rural areas. So actually, one of the the most moved to area I'm going to cover in the next part here. But it's super interesting where people are moving to. So rural land sales and says continue to soar. Buyers rush to purchase properties, subdivisions, investments, forming retreats. And sales statewide surged 9,331 in the third quarter, up 40% from a year ago. And the average price per acre jumped nearly 25%. Holy moly, 25% increase of Texas land per acre. That's insane. Like, that is huge number to see. And the research divides regions around Austin, Waco, and the Hill Country. And obviously, we saw what happened with the Hill Country, with the floods this past summer, and it was horrific. But it was incredible to see how the community came together. I was part of the relief efforts, and just helping as many families as I could. And this is really where people's attention is right now, is to go into the suburbs of the Hill Country. I would assume, just based on what I see on MLS and the inventory, I would say they're going towards New Braunfels and Bulverde, and also even up to Johnson City, because you still have access and less traffic to get to amenities faster, but you don't have as much density as the city of San Antonio and Bexar County in general. Awesome. Bulverde 1604. All right. Some good eats out there. Let's see. South side of 410. Don't move here. Look, he said it, not me. Southeast. I actually like the southeast side. Honestly, it's especially China Grove and those areas. I personally like it because there's not a lot of restrictions. There's not a lot of HOAs. So people who want that, it's definitely a good area. But if you say otherwise, then, I got to stick to some rules. Appreciate that. And then, awesome. Thank you for joining Maiko and Lake Medina, or Medina Lake. So tell me about the water restrictions. Have you seen any problems with the water restrictions? Please let me know. So, yes, here we go. Sorry, let me get back to this. Okay. So yeah, buyers are basically rushing to get to these rural areas, and it's pretty interesting. So one of the rural areas that buyers are getting into, and let me share this with you. Well, look, Medina Lake. Well, it's going dry. Man, I hope it doesn't. I really hope they fix this Medina Lake issue. I always warn people every time, clients ask me like, hey, should we move out to Medina Lake? I'm just like, this is the skinny of it. It may fix, but new HEB, new subdivisions. What the good thing is, I did read an article that said Lennar got denied. But this, now that I think of it, it was denied up 281 by Bulverde to keep the integrity of the natural land space between certain communities up there. So let's see. Looking for an investor. I'm an investor and looking for multifamily, and triple net single family is not there. Yep, I totally agree. So let me continue with what is here. So median home sales actually increase year over year in Boerne Fair Oaks Ranch, data shows. So the biggest corridor boom that I've seen in the last year has been in the I-10 corridor. Everything that they said was going to be promised that's coming to the Boerne Fair Oaks San Antonio corridor of I-10 has happened. It's incredible to see all of the growth out there, and the community growth actually was at a standstill. So that inventory is much less versus other corridors around San Antonio. It's where housing is short and people really live there for the location. The density and amenities in the I-10 corridor is massive. There is so much to do out there. I'll even drive, because I live on the northeast side, I'll even drive to I-10, to visit areas and stuff. And it's a very desired, and I say desired just in terms of inventory and what's there to do around there. But homeowners continue to invest in real estate in the Boerne Ranch areas, according to the San Antonio Board of Realtors. Median home price increase year over year in Boerne Ranch areas. 78015 zip code saw a 28% increase in home prices from November 2024 to November 2025. And the 78006 zip code saw from 9% in the same time frame. So that, I mean, whether you average it, it's still about a 10% increase for both towns. And I really think it has to do with the lower amount of inventory. There is way more luxury communities being built out there than there is affordable communities, and affordable just meaning around the 300, maybe even 250 price point. There's not much. And there's also a land scarcity in that corridor, which makes it, very different. Man, I like you, South Kid. Lenhar's a plague. I don't know how they're always getting permits. I wish I knew. I don't know, but they're just, they're a publicly traded company, I guess. So we'll just leave it at that. So that's one corridor. And then we obviously know the next corridor, Hill Country Jam, ranked fastest growing zip codes in Texas. This is super surprising. I really thought, I was like, oh, I already know it's New Braunfels. But it's not just New Braunfels. There's other areas where it's going outside of New Braunfels. So New Braunfels, once again, hits national standout amongst the hottest zip codes in America for new residents, according to Moving Place, November 2025. Zip code 78130 ranked number 2 in the nation for total move volume in October, drawing 354 adults in just 1 month. I don't know why that's an important stat. So let me just break this down a little bit for people who are not familiar with New Braunfels, because I do feel like there is some splaining to do in New Braunfels. Let me get this out of the way. So this is New Braunfels. I know I don't know what you're watching on a TV screen or your phone or your flip phone. I don't know. But so this is New Braunfels, and New Braunfels has two sets of inventories. So if you look where it says New Braunfels in the middle of that Google map, the right side of it, which is the south end of, I guess, southeast end of New Braunfels, they have a lot more affordable communities and a lot more inventory. There's not the condensed amount of amenities around it. I mean, there is schools, and it's continuing to build out. The benefit of the southeast part of that community in New Braunfels is really Lake McQueenie, Lake Dunlap. Like, those are lakes that are still maintaining their water levels, not only for recreation, but for the scenery, the landscaping. It's, when I show homes out there, or my agent partner Amber, we still see this beautiful scenery around it. There's still people on boats. There's still, people active in the community on the water. And it's just really interesting to see. And then on the northwest side of New Braunfels, there's a shortage of homes. There's not a lot of affordable communities. There's a lot of resale. There's not a lot of new home developments out there. And there's Copper Canyon, there's Vintage Oaks, there's all these luxury communities that are priced about 700 and up into, around the 2 million. But what is creeping on this community is this. This is a corridor that all you cool people on this live know about, that I know about. But this corridor here from Garden Ridge to New Braunfels is going to be something that you're going to be hearing a lot about. There's been some permits pulled. I don't want to leak too much right now, but I do think that corridor is going to be revitalized. And if you're looking to move into those areas, I would really pay attention to what's happening in that corridor, not just what everybody knows, which is, the Lake McQueenie on 46 going south, but that connection. So this corridor here, something interesting happening there. I know there's a bunch of quarries and stuff, but I predict something's going to be out there. So, okay. Other thing I wanted to mention. Hang on, let me get this. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, here we go. So, literally ranked number one. This is the number one ranked hottest zip code in America, not Texas, not San Antonio corridor, literally the number one zip code in America. This is insane. I never even heard of this town until this article came out, and I was really flabbergasted. And I was like, I got to look this up. Like, what's going on? So, this November 2025, hottest zip code in America report from Moving Place analyzed 961,000 residents moves in October, ranking zip code per moves per capita, total moves month over month growth, and it's a lot. So this is going to be Dale, Texas. If you don't know where Dale is, you are not alone. Dale, Texas is seeing one of the hottest growths. And I think it has to do with a couple of things. Let's see. Top 10 zip codes. Here it is. Let's see. Here we go. So the move signals just how fast I-35 corridor between San Antonio and Austin is shifting. With rules setting more land, lower housing costs, Dale is putting newcomers looking for relief from skyrocketing metro prices while still staying within commuting distance of major job hubs. So a lot of San Antonio's focus, in my opinion, is they want density. They want people to live close. They want communities walkable. They want transit to be better. We've had such a huge problem with transit over the years. So they want all this to be better, but people don't agree. People do not agree with the density because you come to San Antonio thinking you're going to buy a $300,000 home on an acre and everything's great. But when you get here, you realize that is not the case. You cannot buy, well, in most areas, you can't buy a $300,000 house on an acre with amenities very close to you. And Dale is becoming the I guess, the spark that's happening between the 35 corridor, which is, happening a lot of attention, especially nationally, with that. So I don't know much about Dale. If you do, please let me know in the comments, because it's it's a town that I'm not really familiar with. And then I got in comments, New Braunfels is where I want to be, or at least the cusp of it. Yeah, there is so much to do in New Braunfels, and people get mad at me because they're like, "Oh, you're in New Braunfels and you don't live here." I'm like, "No, I don't live here, but like, be nice to me, jeez." Let me know if you feel that vibe too with New Braunfels sometimes. But I do love Green. Gristmill is the absolute best restaurant in all of Green. It is awesome. But there's also no good Chinese food. So San Antonio area town quietly emerges as the top U.S. retirement spot. It made the list. So this spot is in the Hill Country. I wonder if you can guess it. A personal finance blog that provides economy and news related. Hold on. Did I miss it? Kerrville. So Kerrville was named fall season, Guadalupe River, Kerrville. Fall season on the Guadalupe River in Kerrville, Texas. Kerrville, low cost living, outdoor recreation, low crime rate, and reputation for safety helped it make it on Finance Buzz as the list of budget friendly cities. I personally disagree. There's no way that Kerrville is a budget friendly city. If you are from Kerrville, let me know. I have a buddy, Ryan, who's an agent out there in Kerrville. And yeah, it is not as affordable as what you think. If we're comparing Kerrville to Dale, I definitely think that Dale is way more affordable than Kerrville. So yeah, that would be my guess. And then, sorry, getting this phone call. Get rid of it. Okay, so let's just talk about stats. This isn't sexy, but it's also interesting to hear some of the kind of data that we're seeing. And this is from the San Antonio Board of Realtors. Of course, it's not updated. It's just from November 2025, and this live stream is beginning of January. But I would say that this is a little eye-opening with the luxury that I was talking about before. So in November, we have 86 days on market. We have $173 price per square foot, and only 92% close from original list price, which that means that people are, typically it's higher, like 96 and 97% close to list price. And what they're doing is they're just dropping the price. They're entering the market thinking they could sell at 400,000, and then they end up selling at maybe 370, 380. And obviously this doesn't count as for closing costs. It's just literally list price. So that's a little skewed. And then months of inventory. So what that means is if everybody stops selling or putting up their homes on the market, then theoretically in 5.9 months, all the homes would sell if there's nothing else entering the market. They say that's a neutral market, but again, I disagree. That is a buyer's market, and this is a type of market that you can really get a really good deal. Now, bringing it into a bigger perspective, what's happening with Trump administrations and the new Fed chair, there's talks that there's going to be low interest rates. I've heard some people saying it's going to drop by 0.5%, and they're going to continue to work on inflation. And I hear others that said, actually, somebody in the office just said that they're looking to drop it 2 points. So 2%. Can you imagine rates at 4% in 2026 as the par rate? It's going to be insane. It's likely going to be where people are going to buy if the rates come down that much. And if they do end up buying a lot around San Antonio, you're definitely not going to see the values go down, in my opinion. You're going to see the values go up in two ways. You're going to see it go up with less inventory to choose from, and you're going to see it go up by just the comparables getting higher in price, and there's going to be more desirability and affordability. Even buying $1 million home, you're going to be able to afford more at 4% interest rate than it is today at 6%. So, I really think they're going to gobble up this inventory if these rates come down, and they're just going to continue, like the amount of build time it takes, the 5-6 months, it's going to be a while. So it's not necessarily going to, it's not like going to be the spike in 2023, because the other thing is you're going to have sellers that are on the fence right now. I know I could think of probably 3 or 4 families right now that are like, Trey, we'll list our house, but we're just waiting for these rates to go down, because when we sell, we want to make sure we capitalize on the amount that we sell our house for to move into the house we want. And it's just where, you can only time that so much, because if other people put their house on the market, now there's more inventory created in your neighborhood that's going to affect what you get. Because if Trey is wanting to buy a home, and I'm speaking myself as a third person, in Stone Oak, now if I see the neighborhood one day and the rates are 4%, now you're going to see 7 homes for sale versus the 2 that there are now. Actually, I am thinking of the Iron Mountain neighborhood in Stone Oak, if you live there. That right now there's 2 homes for sale. That's it, just 2. So it's super interesting. So let me just let's see, just some of these comments. Like they say, it's only what the buyer is willing to pay. Absolutely. You have sellers with unrealistic expectations when, you may want a certain price, but it's just not what you're going to get, because people have choices, and they also have the choice to wait for a different market. And then it's only what the buyer's willing to pay. Yeah, I knew what you meant there. Thank you so much. So we're going to wrap this up for the first live stream. We're going to try to do this every week. I'll do my very best to do it every week, but I am in the trenches, helping people buy and sell. I do love working with families around San Antonio. I have an agent partner, Amber, that works with me. And if you are looking to move around the San Antonio area, we would love to be the realtors of choice. Yes, I do. If you want to follow my intimate day-to-day life, follow me on Instagram. I do post pretty much everything that I do throughout the day, and I do think that this San Antonio market is really, really going to be interesting this year. There's commercial developments that is happening that is going to change it. The city of San Antonio is really pushing this affordable housing, and they really want density. You have this mayor that is, tooting to the horn of her own bell, or whatever the saying is. And that's going to be interesting to see. We will have guests throughout the weeks. There's some commercial agents that I work with that I really do trust their information and what they're getting. I've heard some crazy things that are coming to San Antonio. I don't know if they're actually going to be true or not. Maybe they are. Maybe they won't be true. But I mean, some wild things that you would never guess would come to San Antonio. I just heard little peeps in these meetings that I go to, but none of it's confirmed. So if it is, and once it's confirmed, I will promise, I'll let you know. Hold on. There is. What do you think of co-living? What do I think of co-living? Which would like to hear more about later. I'm not sure what you mean about co-living, but please let me know. That's it. Thank you guys so much for sticking around.